It's race day in the Motor City ahead of the NTT IndyCar Series and the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. It's the top step of the ladder. And the next generation of IndyCar drivers with INDY NXT by Firestone and the Detroit Grand Prix. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on Peacock with NBC Sports. It's a little bit gloomy today. It's been a beautiful weekend with very comfortable temperatures. We've had some overnight rain, some morning mist. The track is dried, and we are ready to go racing for 45 laps here today in Indy NXT. I'm Kevin Lee along with Charlie Kimball. Second street race of the season, final street race of the season. Concrete walls are daunting. As street races go, how challenging is this circuit?
This is top of the list, Kevin. Absolutely the most challenging street circuit on not just the INDY NXT by Firestone schedule, but the IndyCar schedule as well. This long run down Jefferson Avenue is bumpy. It is tight. You talked about that concrete canyon. Sightlines are hard. We've seen incidents in practice. We've seen incidents in qualifying in both these cars, the IMSA race yesterday, the Indy cars. We'll see what happens during this 45-lap race.
You got to look there at one of the best passing zones. That's where the race will start, going into turn 3, essentially a hairpin. Let's check in now with the third member of our team on pit lane. Good morning to DJ Clark.
Well, good morning, Kevin, and good morning, Charlie. I am down here on the grid with the pole sitter, Louis Foster. And Louis, how crucial is it to be able to nab pole around such a tricky circuit such as Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a very hard track to overtake. So, yeah, I think the plan is just to get through turn 3 cleanly and safely, and then hopefully just lead the race from there.
Well, leading the race from there, you've got one little problem getting put into that, and that is we've had rain overnight and obviously no warm-up session. How is that going to affect you and the 26 team out here today?
Yeah, luckily we've got the Andretti boys in IndyCar. They gave us some insights on what the track's like, so we've got a pretty good idea. It's pretty dry now. There's a few damp patches and some other issues with the track, but more or less it's dry, maybe a second or two slower, but yeah, it should be okay.
It should be okay, and it should be a good race for Louis Foster.
Yes, thank you.
First pole of the season for Foster, who was pretty comfy up front last year with 4 P1 starts. That was just moments ago. Drivers are now strapped in, and we are getting set for the command in just a moment, and all eyes on the top 2 in the championship. Different look for Jacob Abel this weekend with a partnership with Abel Construction, the Blue Oval SK special for the 51 car. And we look at the second contender in the championship, just 14 back, Nolan Siegel. And the comparison there, they're not the only 2 in the championship fight, but they are 1 and 2 right now.
With these 2 leading the way, they have both won races so far this year. But at the same time, you talk about the whole field is hot on their heels. You can compare their results. Last year, Nolan Siegel, heartbreak early in race 1, having a mechanical, coming back and winning race 2. Jacob Abel broke through. This is last year, coming to the line to take the checker to drive shaft mechanical failure for Nolan Siegel. Last lap, heartbreak, coasting across the line, sliding all the way back to 8th. Reese Gold picking up the win there. You can see the heartbreak on the team. And then coming back the next day, thinking like a goldfish, forgetting that, and taking the win on race 2, breaking through to get that win here on the streets of Detroit last year. When I talked to Nolan yesterday, felt like they had a really good race car, but they struggled to turn the tires on in qualifying, which is why he's a little further back in the grid, but he knows that he's got the pace in the race. And for him, it's a little bit of a reset coming back to the Indy NXT cars, having spent the month of May attempting to qualify for the Indy 500.
Well, last year, Siegel was very dominant here. It was a 5+ second lead before he had the mechanical with just a couple of corners to go. Backed it up with a win in race 2, and he's already got a win this year, but certainly consistency from Jacob Abel has been first or second in every race and every qualifying this season. All right, just about time to get it started on the streets of Detroit. Downstairs for the command.
In 2017. Let's go trackside to get things started here in Detroit.
It's time to fire the engines. Here's your Grand Marshal for the INDY NXT by Firestone Detroit Grand Prix, WRIF radio contest winner Austin Carey to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
21 Indy NXT Delars fired up, ready to go. Some new looks this week. Michael D. Orlando, one of them. With Flat Rock Motor Club set to open in the Knoxville area here in the next few weeks. And let's look at how they're going to start. It's Louis Foster with his first pole of the season after 4 in 23 on the pole in the Novara Technologies car for Andretti Global. And then Jacob Abel in that blue oval SK. Front row, all 5 this season, starting seconds.
Inside row 2, Kyle Collette coming off the podium finish last weekend out at the Indianapolis Grand Prix. He's our P4 position in the championship. Jamie Chadwick with that podium at the Indianapolis Grand Prix. This is her best qualifying this season so far.
It's been race to race every weekend for Michael D. Orlando. He is not likely to race next weekend at Road America unless you win the race. Maybe you stay in the car. Callum Edge in the HRC number 17 with his best start of the season.
Inside row 4, Nolan Siegel P2 in the championship, coming off kind of a heartbreaking month of May. And J.W. Miller, Jack William Miller with his best qualifying so far this year.
Siegel in pit lane. We'll get an update in a moment on what the issues are for one of the championship contenders. Ewan Sundermore, his best start of the season. He finished 12th on the streets of St. Pete. And in the Top Con, number 29, it's James Rowe, who was 6th last year in the second half of the Detroit doubleheader.
And Bryce Aaron facing the challenges of this Detroit Concrete Canyon is just trying not to crash. Not super comfortable for that young driver. Ricardo Escoto, a new driver, making his Indy NXT debut for Juncos Hollinger Racing.
Jonathan Brown was good in the opener on the streets of St. Petersburg, finishing 6th. 18-year-old Josh Pearson in the open context car, starting 14th.
Inside of row 8, Niels Kulin, his best qualifying so far this year. And Reese Gold, as we saw, winner of race 1 last year, starting a little further deep in the field.
It's a hometown driver, Nolan Allard, National Coney Island, Fago, and the Detroit Lions, his partners this weekend. Salvador De Alba Jr. from Mexico, and the Andretti Capes car starts on his outside.
Inside of row 10, Miles Rowe in that famous-looking red tail number 99. Had an incident in qualifying, but he's finished in the top 10 all year. Christian Bogle in his 3rd season of Indy NXT, and starting inside of row 11, Lindsey Brewer.
So there is your grid as we get set to go. Really challenging, getting heat in the tires. That's the challenge in the Firestones right now. What else do they need to navigate with Kimball's Keys?
Well, it comes down to Louis Foster's renaissance here in Detroit. He is continuing to pick up momentum in this championship. He won the race, second race at the Indianapolis Grand Prix. If he continues that momentum, he will launch himself into that championship conversation alongside Jacob Abel and Nolan Siegel. And the mean streets of Detroit, we talked about how challenging this place is. It is bumpy, it is rough, it is tight. There's not a lot of opportunity to stretch your legs and rest your mind.
DJ, what is happening with Nolan Siegel?
It appears to be a half shaft issue, Kevin. They are changing that left rear here at this point. Hopefully going to get him out as quickly as they can. But again, a half shaft issue here for one of your championship contenders.
Heartbreak. Really, really frustrating here for Nolan Siegel. Sitting on pit lane. That half shaft failure was what took his race win away as they came to the checkered in race 1 last year. These guys are coming around and they will go through this turn 1 and 2 complex, take the green flag, going down Jefferson Avenue this time. Hopefully Nolan Siegel can stay on the lead lap, hope for some yellow, and pick up some points.
Yeah,
it's
he's hoping
all
for a
about
stack up. He needs a stack up right now. All right, exit of turn 2 is where we're going to get it going. This race starts on this long stretch going to 3. It will finish between turn 9 and 1. 45 laps or 55 minutes. The Concrete Canyon, we're ready to go for round 5 of 14. Abel and Foster in the front row. Louis Foster has control of the field. He sees green, and we go racing in Detroit.
This is how it started for Louis Foster last year. He got assaulted into turn 1, the first corner at speed. So far, he's clean 3 wide behind.
Jacob Abel has the inside preferred line, and he is going to come out second. Kyle Collette, green and yellow car, is going to get third. Michael D. Orlando trying to go around the outside of Jamie Chadwick. Can't get in there. Chadwick maintains that position.
This is not what Nolan Siegel wants to see as he's still on pit. It's tight. Wow, it got tight through that section. No contact at the moment, still clean.
Very impressive work. They've made it through the first 3 to 4 corners. of this very difficult, very narrow track. Second, third, fourth, fifth, right there you see Hedge in sixth. Jack William Miller has picked up a spot. He's running in seventh. And Foster has gapped a bit, about 3 to 4 car lengths.
Everything I'm seeing, these cars are slipping and sliding. A little bit of a defense there from Ricardo Escoto. The stewards might have a look at that on James, trying to protect the position from James Road. Looked like once James popped out, Escoto dinked more to the inside. You can't move in reaction, but I'm just seeing the low grip for all of these cars. Really struggling to get these Firestone tires turned on. That grip up really tight down into turn 3. Michael D'Orlando on Jamie Chadwick.
Got it done. They are pseudo teammates.
Go with him. Little pressure behind you here.
Andretti with Cape. The Michael D'Orlando black and gold car. Jamie Chadwick with the Andretti car. Jack William Miller up the inside. Got it done on Callum Hedge.
Everybody looking for momentum shifts, trying to take advantage. You're right on top of all the other cars that when someone has a small misstep, you need to take advantage of that.
That green and black car back there is Ricardo Escoto, 19-year-old from Mexico, making his debut, and that was what we saw under review between the 75 and the 29 of James Rowe. Escoto has been racing in the USF Pro Championship where he is 13th
Ricardo, I need you
points.
to drop it behind car 27, 3 positions back, behind car 27. Do it now on the backstretch.
Blocking penalty, so not a drive-through, it's an in-between penalty. He's going to give up a few spots. And James Rowe is going to get the run there. Further up front, how about this? Caio Collet has gotten it done on Jacob Abel into second for the 21-year-old HMD Motorsports Brazilian driver. Collet comes in 4th in the championship. Every start in the top 7, 3 of the 4 have been up near the front with the finishes.
Ricardo Escoto serving that penalty, still has 1 car to let pass as they come down the hill to finish that lap into turn 8.
And meanwhile, well, there we get a yellow, but it's 2 laps too late for Nolan Siegel, who still sits on pit lane, and Bryce Aaron into the wall hard. I talked with Bryce right before the race started, and he said, honestly, this is the least comfortable that I have felt. I am just going to try to survive today and get a result out of this. So let's see if he had any help here. Now Siegel does get going, but he is 3 laps down.
Well, unfortunately for Bryce Aaron, Nolan Siegel will pick up the 1 position in the championship, and this is just damage control for Nolan Siegel. He's got to run all the laps, try and cycle around, hope for some more chaos. Restart creates the opportunity. Yellows tend to breed yellows. It almost looks, where that impact is, it almost looks like he had contact driver's left, and that sent him into the outside wall coming through that turn 3-4 complex.
It's just his second street course. St. Pete was the first. Former Team USA scholarship winner from Illinois has been mostly racing in Europe for the last few years. What happened?
Ooh, it just exited stage right hard. That car is spinning long before he gets to the apex of turn 7. Tank slid around. Those cold tires with the rain and the moisture on the pavement overnight. Really low grip. Just car stepped out. It's Bryce Aaron climbs out.
Yeah, good to see he's okay. That was a pretty decent slap as well. So Bryce, we can check, but so far so good. And he's one of the bigger drivers, about 6'3". So we'll get a reset. And as far as movers, we've seen Miles Rowe pick up 6 spots. So he had a couple of incidents yesterday, including in qualifying. That's why he started all the way in the back. Josh Pearson, Reese Gold, Christian Bogle have also moved up 4 spots. Let's go back to the start again.
It's a great jump for Louis Foster. He's able to get the power down. Jacob Abel slides right in. And then you can see these cars fan out and how rough it is off the sort of preferred line down the straight. Watch as they come through this middle of the corner. You can see these cars. They almost look like they're standing still. They're tiptoeing through this concrete section. You can see the moisture around the manhole covers, those dark spots at the edge of the racetrack. And as they come through these concrete canyons, we keep talking about how narrow it is, trying to put the power down. We go on board here with Ricardo Escoto. He's putting you can hear it, see the corrections in the steering wheel. I think he got really lucky there, because had he not gone to the inside, he was going into the back of the car in front of him. So for him to be able to have that out and throw it up the inside, yeah, he got a couple positions out of it, but he was really lucky that there was that room to go and not a wall in the way.
Down to pit lane and DJ.
Yeah, Kevin, I just had a chance to check in with the Andretti Global team, and you were right. The car just seemed to absolutely step out on Aaron at that point. The other thing they did tell me, as you guys have both been alluding to, this track is very, very slippery. All of the Andretti drivers are reporting it.
Treacherous is putting it mildly. It's difficult to begin with, and then you add rain overnight. A damp session does help them. That IndyCar was just on track with their 30-minute warm-up.
And by the end of that IndyCar warm-up, the lap times had come down very competitively, very similar to what you might expect for a pre-race warm-up session. But still, a lot of the IndyCars using the runoffs in turn one. So these drivers, they face the same challenges as those IndyCar drivers. The track's slippery. They've got to get those Firestone tires up to 10. Get them really hot and sticky, that rubber to really connect with the road and the racetrack. And when it's cloudy like this, the track temp just doesn't come up, and that doesn't help.
Good starts for the drivers in 6th and 7th right now. That blue car is the Patterson Dental Haven Go car for Jack William Miller. They've got a lot of guests here from Haven Go, and if you're from Patterson Dental as well, he picked up a couple of spots. And Ewan Sundermore, they also picked up a couple of spots off his best starting position. It's the best start for both of these rookie Indy NXT drivers, so well done by them. Jamie Chadwick isn't right in front of them. She had her best start, hanging in their top 5 right now. Further up the order, Michael D'Orlando has moved up a spot. And then Kyle Collette in 2nd. We saw him pick up a spot in the hairpin. He's one of the 10 HMD Motorsports cars, building their own Indy NXT empire, and brand new headquarters have opened up in Brownsburg, just west of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, essentially, I'm going to say about 7-8 miles, maybe less than that west. And I used to shop there a lot as a kid. That was a marsh, and now it's big enough for their entire program with room to grow.
And I was able to go for that ribbon cutting ceremony and walk through. And I have seen IndyCar shops that aren't that clean and well equipped. So I think that, like you say, there's room to grow. I think there's a vision with Henry and Diva Malukas to look beyond. Small fun fact, Able Construction, Jacob Able, their competitors on the racetrack. Able Construction did a lot of the work building out that HMD Motorsports shop.
There you go. That's how motorsports works, B2B. And that's part of the partnership. As we see that number 51 this weekend, Blue Oval SK is one of Able Construction's biggest clients, working in the electric field, essentially. So that's a good-looking race car. I loved Jacob's race suit. It has that old-time, looks like an old henchman suit. I don't know who made it, but it looks like, maybe what Steve McQueen was wearing in the early 70s.
It's a very classic, especially with that 51 and that white circle. Very classic, great colors. It stands out on the racetrack, looks good standing still. That Able Construction project with the Blue Oval SK Group, it's the largest construction project that Able's undertaken, so they were able to put them on the car and showcase some of the work they're doing. We get the one to go at the line signal from the starter.
Here's a look at Jamie Chadwick running in 5th right now. Jamie just needs some good luck at some point. She broke through with that podium in the first of the doubleheader weekend at the Indy Grand Prix, and the other 3 results have not been good, but not because of a lack of pace. She has qualified in the last 4 races, 5th, 6th, 6th, and 4th.
And that really is a testament to the work she put in over the winter. She said to a few people, That's the most time I've ever spent in the gym. She realized how physical these Indy NXT cars were, how long these events were. You come to somewhere like Detroit where you're essentially riding a whoop section on a supercross track and you're bouncing more than you're on the ground, and you need that strength, you need that power to be able to hold on to the car. And she has done a really nice job finding the speed and continuing to show that speed, and those results will continue to come the more she qualifies up front. She has really impressed me the most this year.
All right, we are going to go green again this time. Cleanup is over. Exit of 2 is when we'll see them go. So that's up a little bit of a hill. Long straightaway coming now, and Louis Foster in control with Collette, Abel, D'Orlando, Chadwick, Miller, Sundermorthy, Hedge, Rowe, and Pearson all chasing. Good jump for Foster. Chadwick is thinking about D'Orlando a little further back.
Big late move on Sundermorthy from Callum Hedge, gets the job done into turn 3.
James Rowe trying to go along with him. Sundermorthy will hang on to that spot. Josh Pearson, that green and white car, is right behind. He's moved up 4 positions from the start. Reese Gold, the yellow car, is back there. Pearson thinks about it here, and now nearly contact. Gold has to back out just a little bit. It gets tight.
On the brake. Yep, we saw it.
That's Josh Pearson talking there. Steven Simpson talking to him. Watch again here.
Big late dive to the inside. Almost so much he gets into the back of Jack Miller, but clear despite the correction as he tries to put the power down. Gets clear, and now he's thinking further up the road with Jack William Miller in front of him. James Rowe has Sundermorthy in his sights as well.
No change of the top 6 with Louis Foster trying to make up some ground in the championship with a rough start to the season, but you see where things are at right now as Hedge looks inside of Jack William Miller. Turn 3. Still not done yet. Miller is able to fight back because he had the preferred line.
Miller defending there out of turn 3. Problem maybe further back for James Rowe. Maybe had some wall contact, still trying to gather that car up. That thing is sideways.
So he had been asked to give up 3 positions for a blocking penalty. So that's what was going on there with James Rowe. You think the car is still okay. He slides back to 14th. Collette has stayed with Foster this time. Then Abel, D'Orlando, Chadwick. There's Miller back there in 6th. Callum Hedge, a couple of car lengths behind. Sundermorthy. Pearson is up to 9th now. Gold, top 10. Ricardo Escoto in his debut, doing a great job running in 11th. Let's listen to Nolan Siegel radio and what they can do starting the race multiple laps down.
You tell me what you want to do. You guys figure that out, because I'll do whatever you think will get us the most points today.
The only thing that's going to make us get points here is complete laps.
So that's it. He is 4 laps down and just needs to run laps, and he's behind Lindsey Brewer here at this point on track. Lindsey is at the tail end of the lead lap. Back up to mid-pack. That fight between 6th, 7th, and 8th rages on with Jack William Miller in the blue car. Hedge in the black car behind him. Turquoise and black with Sundermorthy. Little lock up there for James Rowe trying to move his way back forward.
These guys all running cleanly at the moment, nose to tail, but the frustration's only going to build if you think you've got a faster car and you can't get past that car in front of you, especially as the grip comes up, the load in the steering wheel gets heavier. These tires, Firestones, continue to wear during the course of the race. That grip may not stay as long as you think it should, as Callum Hedge looking now to the outside of Jack Miller into turn 3.
So Miller will go as wide as he can to try to protect that, and does the job there and hangs on to 6th.
Jack William Miller driving with his elbows out for sure is a big lunge, a thought there. Callum Hedge going down into turn 5.
That's what you want to do, make him go the long way around. as long as you are proactive, you can defend.
That is a very clear distinction with the race stewards between defense and blocking. Blocking is a movement and reaction. Defense is proactive. You know, young Callum Hedge coming from New Zealand, a long string of successful Kiwi drivers moving through the Indy NXT program into IndyCar.
Hedge has really been impressive because he's only got a couple of years of Formula Car experience. Most of his experience back home in New Zealand and in Australia was in sports cars. Porsche Carrera Cup, won the Formula Regional Championship last year. That's why he has the Honda, the HRC partnership for this year. Dominated that championship. But the competition is quite a bit stiffer here. This is a big jump up to Indy NXT. So we'll keep an eye on this. 6th, 7th, and 8th. Meanwhile, DJ, tell us more about the leader.
Well, Kevin, after what was a little bit of a heartbreak last year, Louis Foster is loving the position that he is in. He is just managing the gap up at the front of the field, and I had a chance to talk to his Andretti Global team, see if he said anything on the radio. They said he has been absolutely silent. He is dialed into this race.
Not much to say when it's going that well.
You've got clear air, clean track in front of you. Just continue to run those laps. Smiles Row going past D'Alba down into turn 3. The heavy braking at the end of the long straight is always the best spot. And Miles had an incident qualifying, had an incident practice right before qualifying, had an incident qualifying, and as a result, oh no, Jack Miller.
Oh, that's what we've been watching, that battle for 6th, and it went away for Jack William Miller.
Can you go?
He may not be damaged, or it may be light damage. So he gets it into reverse, but he's lost all that track position from 6th, falling to the back of the lead lap. Let's see the front wing once he gets going. And now what he needs is a yellow to bunch back up. How did it happen?
Just overshot it, and then he tries to spin it around. Can't get the car turned to get flipped back around. He is back on track, almost a full lap down. Still on the lead lap, just the tail end of it.
Yeah, he's exiting 2, and the leaders are going through 1 right now. So he's probably got 10 or 15 seconds in front of them. So a yellow could allow him to get some more spots up. Car is intact. Unfortunately, the result is not. And there is the lead pack coming with Foster, Collette, Abel, D'Orlando. They've broken away a little bit from Jamie Chadwick. Will Callum Hedge be able to make some ground up and challenge Chadwick for the top 5? There's D'Orlando there. Flat Rock Motor Club helped Michael D'Orlando get to this weekend. This was not in play until recently. It's another one of these motorsports country clubs that are so cool, like we saw with the Thermal Club, like you see at Autobahn, the Concourse Club. This is opening in Tennessee in the Knoxville area very, very soon. So as we see a nice slide out of there that he hangs on to, I'm interested to get a look at that coming up. And D'Orlando is not too far behind Jacob Abel for a podium position right now.
And when he gets there, he's going to really rely on that push-to-pass system. It's an extra 50 horsepower boost.
Piling the pressure on, clear from behind by 2.5 seconds.
The Cape brothers given Michael D'Orlando the information about keeping the pressure on Jacob Abel. It's not an unlimited amount of push-to-pass these drivers have. You can use it to overtake. You can also use it in defense. You just have to use it sparingly because there's not enough to use it every lap, every straightaway during the whole race. Not close enough for a look into turn 3 this time by.
45 laps is a long stint as Miles Rowe continues to try to work his way forward. He's been going at it with Salvador De Alba Jr. before, back in front here. So Rowe started 19th. And this is for 11th, so back into that position.
Really close quarters for these drivers, not just with the walls, but with each other. We get another look. If that's not, that's a little bit of contact, maybe rubbing those Firestones off the sidewalls. Just a little bit of leaning on each other, but you can see how slippery it still is. That car steps out. Miles Rowe did not have a lot of room to the wall there, so it's not like he intentionally drove into the side of Salvador de Alba Jr. That's just close quarters, good, solid Indy NXT racing.
Kyle Collette is making Louis Foster work for it, as D'Orlando is with Jacob Abel for that final podium spot. Reese Gold has caught up to Josh Pearson. The green and white car is Pearson in 8th. Gold, who won race 1 last year, essentially inherited, but he was having a good day. He was set to finish 2nd. All of a sudden, the mechanical with 2 corners to go for Nolan Siegel, and Gold found himself in victory lane last year.
It was a great run for Reese Gold, a real fight back from qualifying 16th, not where he wanted to be. Knows he can win here after last year, and has done a really good job. He's currently sitting 9th, and I think it's a good result so far for Josh Pearson as well. These are 2 young drivers really learning and
you
working
just have to get alongside.
Some coaching coming from the timing stand there about getting alongside. If you can get wheel to wheel, you hold the corner. We go on board here with Ricardo Escoto in that Juncos Hollinger car. And what I want you to watch is his hands. Even down the straight, see how busy his hands are just trying to keep it. Goes to the button, that green light on the dash, showing he's on push to pass. And it will carry him that extra speed down to turn 3. Heavy brake zone here. This hairpin, not super tight of a hairpin, not like Long Beach, but still really bumpy. As we get through here, it gets super narrow. It's almost like driving into a tunnel because the walls are so close. And look how bumpy the brake zones are. You can see he's correcting with his steering. His yellow gloves make it really easy to see. You could hear the engine spin up when the rear wheels are off the ground. This turn 8 brake zone has caught a lot of drivers out this weekend. Comes through cleanly, comes around, and this is where they'll see the checkered flag. Is right here at the finish line, not where they
use
see
that
the
push
starts.
to pass. Get up there with Reese.
Getting some coaching from the timing stand, using that push to pass to catch up to Reese Gold just a little further up the road as we come back here onto Jefferson Avenue. The Ren Center, the Renaissance Center, GM's global headquarters just off to the left. It's a big, long, bumpy
7 to
run.
go, 27.
Down to turn 3. Jacob Abel, Michael D'Orlando throwing haymakers at each other into turn 3. No real contact, just good racing so far.
Yeah, D'Orlando is quick. He has the 2nd fastest lap of the race. Abel does not show in the top 5. Neither does Louis Foster, who's pretty comfortable out front and does not have the benefit of a draft. And then if you slide back just a little bit into 7th position, as D'Orlando is now going to try to make a move on Jacob Abel. This is for a podium position. D'Orlando around the outside, some contact, he goes around, and big damage. Abel continues on. D'Orlando has lost parts of the front wing. He'll try to salvage something, but a chance at a podium is gone.
We'll see if our championship leader, Jacob Abel's got damage from that contact. And we'll see the steward's perspective on that as well.
Are all the tires up? Let's see. Now, Abel is under pressure from Jamie Chadwick, and Callum Hedge is right there too. Take a look at Abel's car. In 3rd, Chadwick right there, and Hedge is now going to come to the inside and get it done. Callum Hedge is up to 4th.
Callum Hedge taking advantage of momentum shifts all day long as Jacob Abel trying to figure out if he's got a damaged race car underneath him. Jamie Chadwick figuring that out as well, and Callum says, I'll go by, take that spot, thank you very much.
So that's 4, 5, and 6. I'm starting to mention Euban Sundermore. He has the fastest lap of the race, so that turquoise and black and yellow car back there in 6th might still have something to say. Best run for Sundermore. Let's see again what happened between D'Orlando and Abel.
So they go side by side through turn 8 into turn 9. D'Orlando definitely ahead. Just a little bit of contact, and as he spins, he catches the left rear of Jacob Abel. In my perspective, it sure looked like D'Orlando was ahead. Jacob Abel had lost that spot, and should have thought about backing out. That little bit of contact, maybe some damage on the left front of Jacob Abel's, but he's still running reasonably quick lap times.
And you got to keep an eye on that left rear. That's what made contact for Abel with D'Orlando's wing. So penalty or not, it's not going to help D'Orlando, who was in a position where his only chance to continue next week, as Foster has a little bit of a lockup and is now caught up to Jack William Miller, who had missed a corner a while back. So that's the leader, second in line here. But for D'Orlando, he had to get a result. He's trying to get there at that point to get on the podium. So it's championship consideration. That would be the factor for Jacob Abel at this point. DJ.
Well, down here in the HMD paddock, I've been talking with the crew, and they've been telling me that Kyle Collette not needing a whole lot of coaching here. They're just giving them some updates, just telling them where they're at in terms of push to pass and what's happening around the track. But as you can see on your screens right now, things are about to get very interesting with some lap traffic in front of the leader, Louis Foster. This could be the opportunity Collette needs.
De Alba and Escoto going at it here. Escoto in the Juncos Hollinger car on debut. Been very impressive in the top 10 right now. De Alba running 11th. Another rookie in Indy NXT this season. And top 10s this year are something, especially if you're a rookie driver, are something to brag about. It is tough. Oh.
Good, clean wheel-to-wheel racing. Maybe a little bit of contact, but just Ricardo Escoto did a good job, defended his position, stayed driver's left. D'Alba went around the outside, wasn't able to clear him, and you just position your car intelligently to make it really hard for someone to go the long way around you.
De Alba will continue this fight, trying to find room. Maybe an over-under here in turn 3 again. This is for the last spot in the top 10 right now. But keep in mind, we're just halfway. There's a long way to go and a lot of potential tire deck still in play.
There is a lot that these mean streets of Detroit are throwing at these drivers. Jack William Miller into the turn 1 runoff again. So he gets out of the leader Louis Foster's way, but Jack William Miller's day went from great to not great to even worse.
Well, that's a tough spot, and I just looked at that Jack William had just pulled off the second quickest lap of the race. So he's trying to stay with the leaders, to try to stay on the lead lap in case a caution comes, and that's a big challenge there. Meanwhile, top 2 are together. Kyle Collette has caught up to Louis Foster, and this battle is going to rage for the second half of the race. DJ.
Down here in pit lane, it's problems for Lindsey Brewer as the car is not shifting. They're not sure if it's a gearbox issue or maybe something related to the steering wheel. They've changed that out, and they're trying to diagnose the problem.
So she's off, and 3 laps down here at this point. And the top 2 have checked out. 7 seconds in front of Jacob Abel, who just had that tussle with Michael D'Orlando. We did have a report. Car is okay for Abel. And you can see that he has built up a second gap on Callum Hedge at this point. I have not heard if race control is looking into that. And now we have a full course caution.
That's for the stranded 40 car of Jack William Miller in the runoff of turn 1. He's not able to make that 3-point turn like he did previously and get out of there under his own power.
So he needed the caution. He needed not to be the reason for the caution. Car's quick.
It's never great when you need a yellow and you're that yellow. That's counterproductive.
He is under power though. So this should be a very quick caution. So he's back out and so far has lost, I think maybe just the 1 lap. There's Juven Sundermorthy, who still has the fastest lap of the race here. Louis Foster just clicked off a good one. 106.8. Now second quick, and Collette third quick, and they're all within less than a tenth, about half a tenth of each other. Let's hear what the 26 camp is talking about with Andretti Global.
Push the passes, 140 for you, 115 for Colette. You got 25 seconds on him and no other cars on the front three, basically.
So things still looking very positive for Foster. Who's had finishes of 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 1st. Broke through in the second half of the Indy Road Course doubleheader weekend. And one of those results came with all kinds of electrical issues throughout the weekend, and he had to start 21st and came back to 5th. So if he were to win a championship this year, beyond wins, that might be the one at Barber that really stands out. By the way, it's back-to-back weekends. Road America coming up next week, Sunday, here on Peacock. I would say one of my favorite weekends of the year, but I can kind of say that every weekend. That's what's really cool about the IndyCar and the Indy NXT schedule, is that we go to unique places, unique tracks, and every weekend is different. And downtown Detroit is far different from Elkhart Lake, and they're both a lot of fun. So here's how we stack up, and we should go back to green this next time. Joined us late, second in the championship. Nolan Siegel had a half-shaft problem and started from the pit lane 4 laps down. So he's just circulating, and he's picked up 2 positions because Bryce Aaron had a crash on lap 3. Lindsey Brewer has a mechanical and is in the pit lane, so he runs in 19th, 4 laps down at the moment. Okay, let's go again.
Green.
Louis Foster leads him out of 2. Colette on the charge. Both are quick. Jacob Abel right there in 3rd. Callum Hedge, Jamie Chadwick running top 5. Fastest car so far has been Juven Sundermorthy back there in 6th. Into the passing zone in turn 3. Does anyone have a run? Colette's going to look to the outside. Switch back for Callum Hedge, going to the inside of Jacob Abel for 3rd. Chadwick going with them. Chadwick side by side with Abel.
On the outside there into turn 4, Sundermorthy almost have contact. They're 3 wide trying to get into that tunnel down to turn 5. Reese Gold on Sundermorthy, who's got a broken front wing.
I thought maybe Sundermorthy might have been chopped down there. Might have had contact, and it appears he does have some damage.
Rear tire's flat, hit on the pitch. Under the right rear on.
And it's Jamie Chadwick slow off the pace.
She's got a right rear flat, maybe from contact from Sundermorthy that had broke his front wing. Fortunately, she'll get to pit lane right here in the late. They'll be able to change that right rear.
So she could potentially maybe stay on the lead lap. That's going to be tough, though. Here we go with De Alba inside Pearson. Escoto trying to go along. Uphill now. Back to the left. He'll tuck in line. Let's see how quick the Andretti Global group can do this.
They're very well prepared with an air gun on that right rear. Getting that tire changed for her. Getting her back out on track. Reese Gold looking at Sundermorthy down into turn 3.
And Sundermorthy's car is wounded. Miles Rowe right back there. A little stack up. Pearson and Escoto might have made contact. Rowe and Jonathan Brown there maybe came together.
On your left.
That's Aller, the Grosse Pointe, Michigan driver in his hometown race back there in the number 11. And Niels Colin, orange and black behind him. It's feisty everywhere here in the streets of Detroit.
And all of this contact's leaving some debris out there on the racetrack. We'll see if race control goes down to go get it, but it's 2 wide, 3 wide, bouncing off each other, bouncing off the walls, bouncing off the ground.
Where do we start with replays? We'll start with Scoto in the onboard. From mid-pack, getting into the back of Josh Pearson.
Everything's stacked up in front of him. It wasn't quite expecting that much of a slowdown. Damage on the nose. Sundermorthy struggling with that front wing as they go back down into turn 3. You see the debris and carbon fiber flying off that 75 car.
And Escoto is getting a drive-through for blocking.
Brown and James Rowe having contact.
So it's apparently not for the punt. It's for another incident that we may not have seen there.
How about Miles Rowe? coming up from 19th and currently running 6th.
How about that?
That's a great result. He's finished in the top 10 every race. And we can see this front wing. You see it bouncing on the bumps. The problem with that, and here's the contact with Jamie Chadwick, breaks his front wing, cuts her right rear tire, ruins both their days.
Yep. And then further back, Bryce, we've got Jonathan Brown trying to go around, and we've got a limb in the middle of the track. That's a different kind of debris.
I talked about debris, but I was thinking of the carbon fiber off of these race cars. I wasn't thinking about a branch.
Not in the racing line. I don't think. Pearson is going to look to the inside of the wounded Sunderworthy, who's hanging in there in 8th, but is not going to be able to fight much. Escoto there must be a lap down, or no, he has not served his drive-through yet.
Correct.
So Escoto has got to peel off here pretty soon.
And the problem with that broken front wing is it takes all the front downforce away from the car. The rear wing is still working really well, so when you go to turn, it will just not turn. The front tires don't have enough load in them, don't have enough grip, and not only will it hurt your ability to turn the car, it hurts your ability to brake and slow down the car because you don't have that load in the front tires. You have to start adjusting your brake bias, how you drive the car to try and maximize lap time.
DJ, we're counting on you to keep track of who has damage.
Well, I can tell you right now that it looks like Nolan Aller has damage. They've readied the front wing here in pit lane. He's come by the box a couple of times, so maybe it was a little preemptive, but as you can see here, HMD ready to go.
And I wonder if they are ready in case it goes full course yellow to collect some of the debris that's out there on the racetrack.
And Escoto is still racing, but needs to pit and serve the penalty.
Now James Rowe, I think, has got a little bit of damage on the end fence of his front wing for a little contact there with Escoto.
Box is flat. Box is flat.
Let's see if he follows instructions. Clears out a little space there.
We have 15 laps to go. There's still 15 laps left in this race, Kevin.
Box is flat. Box is flat.
Did he just pass pit in?
He did.
So they're going to, obviously he's either lost radio communication or said, no thanks, I'm going to continue racing. I disagree. And that probably wouldn't be the best way to go about your debut in a series. He has been DQ'd, so he's invisible. But that doesn't help James Rowe if he tries to pass him. Let's see if Escoto will allow him to do so.
When I do race officiating, I tell the drivers, don't give me a reason to know your name until you're on the podium. And the fact that IndyCar stewards Michael D'Orlando with the big dive into turn 3. Wow. Two
this
for
flat,
one.
Ricardo. Box this flat. In this flat, please.
Very clear instructions from the team for Ricardo to come to pit lane.
Well, I hope for his sake they can prove that he doesn't have radio communication, or he might get parked for the next race. There he comes, but that's maybe not great because he waited a few laps.
That's Lindsay Brewer.
Oh, that's Lindsay. That's the team car. So he needs to go with I don't have radio communication. D'Orlando is still out there trying to make some spots back up after he had the contact early on.
Unbelievably quick car.
Up to 13th. Michael D'Orlando is.
That is correct. Yes, please box now.
That's probably the 75 of Escoto. There's a lot going on here. Maybe a little touch there with Bogle and D'Orlando. This is back for 13th through 15th.
The street race has turned into a bit of a street fight, Kevin.
Yeah, it is definitely not processional.
There are times these short racetracks, this is just 1.6 miles long. You know, with 21 cars, it can get a little processional. D'Orlando with a little wing damage, maybe from that earlier incident with Jacob Abel.
There comes the 75 in. And that'll be the end of that day. So eventually the message was received for Ricardo Escoto. And now up front, the only guy that hasn't had any drama today really might be Louis Foster. 2-second advantage.
And if you think championship, this is exactly what Louis Foster and Kyle Collette there in second need. They need chaos behind them. Nolan Siegel, second in the championship with that mechanical problem. Jacob Abel, that contact with Michael D'Orlando running back and forth. This is everything they need to help their championship contentions. Is a good, clean, solid day. Kyle Collette, a couple of great passes to get up to second. Running first and second. Finish that way. Collette would obviously love to pass Louis Foster, but I don't think he's got the speed at the moment for it. We'll see in these last 10 laps. But he needs Jacob Abel to fall back behind Reese Gold, Miles Rowe. There's some other cars there that could help these two front runners get further into the championship conversation.
And the disqualification for Escoto helps Nolan Siegel. That is going to allow him to score another points as he continues after the mechanical to start the race, running 4 laps down. But still in 18th. He's going to move up to 17th by the time we're done. Reese Gold and Miles Rowe right here. Rowe trying to get another spot up into the top 5. He started in 19th. Great switchback. Miles Rowe has moved up from the back to 5th.
What a drive from Miles Rowe. What a great pass on Reese Gold there. Didn't get it done into 3 and said, I'll take it into turn 4.
Miles Rowe has done what a rookie needs to do this season. He has brought the car home. Finishes of 8th, 6th, 5th, 7th, and running top 5 right now. And this time he had to come all the way from 19th after an incident in qualifying. Beautiful move.
Really great driving by Miles Rowe, and now he's got our championship leader, Jacob Abel, in his sights. He's got a really fast race car underneath him, running 67.0 second lap times. Jacob Abel was 67.2 that last time, so I think Miles Rowe has the opportunity now to drive up to that blue oval SK branded 51 and Jacob Abel, see if he can get him, and then he's talking about a podium position with Callum Hedge, the next car up the road.
So that's 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. Meanwhile, let's check in with DJ.
Well, I'm down here on pit lane with Ricardo Escoto, and Ricardo, obviously a DQ here. What happened from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, tough day for us. I mean, we started very well, then got a strange penalty for blocking. Either way, we got back up to 9th. We were there, you know, fighting, and I had a contact with someone, I don't know in what part, and they told me to box, but I couldn't hear from the beginning. My radio was not working, so when I saw the flag, I was so focused, you know, but the weekend was great, you know. I'm so thankful to the team, to everybody in the team, you know. We worked very hard. It was everything new for me, and for sure a lot of learning, and next time we will be better.
Next time we'll see you there. Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you, thank you.
He was quick. That was an impressive debut on pace. First time driving these cars. I think maybe just one test day before he got going. Callum Hedge in position for a podium right now. 20-year-old Kiwi. His best finish 4th so far this season, but he's got the championship leader right behind him. Last year's USF Pro 2000 championship leader behind him. It's Abel and Rowe chasing Hedge, and Rowe has something for Jacob Abel, it looks like now, with inside 10 to go.
Miles Rowe, so impressive in this really tight, confined section. The turn 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 complex coming around to the finish line. You know, it's a harder place to pass, but Miles Rowe's throwing some sneaky moves. That move he made on Reese Gold to get that position and move up to 5th was kind of a surprise. We'll see if he can surprise Jacob Abel. I think Jacob's experience means that he's maybe a little tougher to surprise. But what I'm seeing is these cars are definitely building grip. The track's taking more rubber. The concrete, like it is for a lot of this racetrack, when it's wet, is so slippery and dusty, but then when it dries out, it takes a couple of laps for that rubber to build. When it does, that grip comes really quickly. So these drivers are starting to wear those Firestones out because there's been less sliding. Big move from Miles Rowe into turn 3. Jacob Abel thinking about the over-under, maybe thinking championship as well.
Well, that's the thing I was wondering about with Jacob. With Nolan Siegel already having problems today, Jacob Abel needs to bring the car home. And everyone racing him knows that. That's a difficult spot. You still want to get the best finish you can, but what he cannot do is crash and finish in the back, and that advantage all goes away.
Especially with Louis Foster leading this by over a second and a half from Kyle Collette. Oh, we've got Ewan Sunderworthy in the runoff there in turn one.
Nice and slow. There you go. There you go.
It was going so well. He was the quickest car out there, running at 6, then had the damage and was just trying to hang on. The car is not behaving as it should be.
Full course yellow.
Christian
There's a car
Bogle
off at turn
has
7.
also gone around.
And with 2 incidents on track, IndyCar's race control, Indy NXT race control deciding to go full course yellow here. Clean everything up, reset, re-rack them. 5 or 6 lap shootout here to the checkered flag.
So let's see what happened to Sunderworthy. Those wings are there for a reason. They don't turn real well without them.
I think that's more a factor of the front wing.
And here's Christian Bogle sliding around.
Christian Bogle making a liar out of me. As I said, the track grip's coming up. We're seeing less sliding. And he goes slipping and sliding with the spin coming out of turn 7.
So this will liven things up a little bit. Louis Foster was in a pretty comfy position. What's Kyle Collette? Maybe Callum Hedge have for him? This should be a pretty quick yellow. And here's the front.
They were able to retrieve that tree branch off Jefferson Avenue as well. Oh, it's still there. They have not gone to get that debris.
Just adds to the decor.
It's far enough outside the racing line. Not sure race control is particularly worried about it.
It gets us ready for Road America coming up next weekend, where we will be in the woods. And we've got some nice trees here in downtown Detroit. IndyCar's coming up here on Peacock USA this weekend. Tell your friends. Coming up very soon. Very soon. Noon Eastern. 43 minutes away if you're counting, and you need to be somewhere at noon Eastern, or maybe a little bit before. And green flag is about 12:40, 12:45 Eastern. USA Peacock today with a big-time street fight on our hands. Colton Herta, Alex Palou on the front row. Now 2-time Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden starting up front. Some quicker cars coming from a little further back. Should be fun today.
Callum Hedge has been dynamic on every restart so far today. We will see if he can take the fight to Kyle Collette. Miles Rowe with that fight back from 19th all the way up to 4th. He's got a podium in his sight as we get ready to go one more time.
All right.
Green, green, green.
Inside 5 to go from Detroit. Back to green. Collette trying to get a run down into turn 3. Callum Hedge, that black car, back in 3rd. Miles Rowe has come from the back. He's under attack. And so is Jacob Abel with Reese Gold thinking about it. Rowe is going to take a look at 3rd. Collette is not close enough. 1, 2, 3, no change. 4, 5, all together. Reese Gold, Jacob Abel battling for 5th.
Jacob Abel finally having enough of getting past, getting his elbows up, pushing Reese Gold wide there, able to hold on to that position. These guys aren't done yet.
Salvador De Alba Jr. has had a good run today. He's up to 7th. Same with Josh Pearson, Jonathan Brown, James Rowe, top 10. Michael D'Orlando has recovered to 11th. How many can he get by with a
Overtake active.
Quick car?
4 laps to go.
Let's listen to radio from the leader.
It's overtake being active.
Not updated until you cross the line, but currently 101 to 86, so you're up 15 seconds. You can use it every straightaway for the rest of the race, and you won't run out.
Team counseling Louis Foster to use that push to pass and overtake button on every straight to the end of the race. He's got 15 seconds to the good. Miles Rowe looking the long way around Callum Hedge. Callum squeezing him out there, not giving him as much room.
The two Irish drivers are going at it. Jonathan Brown, James Rowe, and Rowe's going to lose a spot. D'Orlando is back into the top 10.
Good job. Stay ahead. Close off turn 5. Close off turn 5.
And Brown and D'Orlando, teammates last year with Turn 3 Motorsports, now nose to tail as D'Orlando looks to continue charging forward.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
And we are yellow again, and it's Callum Hedge and more. Nolan Aller, Niels Colin, Christian Bogle all stacked up. James Rowe has massive damage in the Top Con car.
With that many cars damaged, I'm not sure we're going to get that cleaned up before the end of the race here. And with 3 laps to go, we'll have to see how the timing sheets shake out. I don't know that Nolan Siegel will get any benefit as we get a replay. James Rowe spinning and collecting Nolan Aller, Christian Bogle, and Niels Colin here. And James Rowe just spinning. Ooh. That's the challenge when you're on such narrow confines of a street circuit. You spin like that, and there's just nowhere to go.
And you see the clock in the pylon. It's a 55-minute race. It's going to be difficult to restart this anyway with less than 3 laps to go, so I don't think they're even going to need to run the 3 laps under caution. So they can essentially checker this one when the clock is about to expire.
And if people have places to go for the start of their IndyCar race, that will help them get ready to go.
Well, and honestly, they need to get the grid prepared. IndyCars need to be out on the grid here very soon, which is why there is a time limit. Now, there is a reason to go ahead and repair the car because you can still score some points if you can get back out there and take the checkered flag under caution. So that is what the Niels Colin crew is trying to get done with HMD Motorsports.
How about Michael D'Orlando, that fight back to the top 10.
Let's hear some radio from the hometown driver, Nolan Aller.
Yeah, I'm out. James Rowe screwed us. Are you serious?
And there they are together. The taller one is Nolan. The other driver is James Rowe. So look at the chat about it for a moment. And how about Miles Rowe is going to finish on the podium. However, that's going to be flipped back. Okay, Callum Hedge is going to be given third back.
So we're hearing from race control that the 17 will be positioned ahead of the 99. I'm not sure if that's for contact or it went yellow before the pass was completed.
We're hearing penalty, so let's see.
Little bit of contact, and I'm not sure. So there's flashing yellow there. I'm not sure when it went yellow.
So we should, let's watch and see if we see a checkered flag here or not.
1 to go at the line. This is white flag.
So it was not a penalty. We're getting clarification now. That is not a penalty on Miles Rowe. It was simply the order at the time of the yellow. So Hedge was still in front when the incident happened behind him.
And the way they officiate that is when they call full course yellow, it is time stamped in the electronic system. They go back to the previous timeline. All cars that received a green positioning timeline, they set the order based off that. And in this case, Miles Rowe right behind Callum Hedge.
So quick trip for medical for all of those involved here. And how many are we going to have that are going to finish this race on the lead lap? We are down to maybe 10, something like that.
10 or 12,
10,
yes.
10 to 12. Jimmy Chadwick did stay on the lead lap, and I think Christian Bogle might have got going again. So yeah, 12 is what we are looking at, and it's essentially a parade to the finish for Louis Foster, who has earned it, who has controlled this entire race today. Foster was quick oftentimes last year, was in the championship mix. Bad luck at times kept him away. Came back as one of the favorites. Still trying to fight back off the early good season start for Nolan, Siegel, and Jacob Abel. But this win today for Louis Foster is going to move him very much back into championship mix. And it is now back-to-back for Louis Foster, who wins under caution on the streets of Detroit in Indy NXT.
That was really good. Thank you. Thank you. Colette was pushing hard, but yeah, thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Recognition there from Louis Foster. The Kyle Colette was pushing him hard, absolutely, all race long. Louis Foster, though, did what he needed to, absorb the pressure, takes the race win.
So how do they finish up today? It will take some sorting once you get into the teens, but up front we have more confidence that this is how they are going to be scored. All unofficial at this point. Kyle Collette, Callum Hedge. Great results for them today, too. And how about the run for Miles Rowe?
Driver of the day for me, from 19th all the way up to 4th. Great racing, elbows up when he needed to be. Jacob Abel, little damage control and limitation for him today, trying to keep himself in that championship conversation. And Reese Gold, a great drive from further back in the order into the top 6.
Best finishes at least for Collette, Hedge, De Alba, Pearson, and Jamie Chadwick once again showed some pace but took some contact. Gets her second best result of the year, which shows how the luck has gone for her, but quick again this weekend. And those are the 12 that finish up on the lead lap. Nolan Siegel, by the way, 18th. So he entered the day 25 points out of the championship and is now going to be 44 back. Still of Jacob Abel, but Louis Foster is now 25 back in the championship. Collette's not done. 72 out. Miles Rowe, 81 back.
Those two rookies are going to push these drivers into the championship all year long.
And a brand new winner's circle here on the streets of Detroit that we'll certainly get a good look at the end of the NTT IndyCar Series race coming up this afternoon. By the way, just over 30 minutes away on USA and here on Peacock. Just over an hour away from the green flag today. Sort of Le Mans style. With that, just a couple of weeks away, you've got the perch above for the podium pictures. But the winner's interview can be right here at Pit Out. Louis Foster with Indy NXT win number 4 after a pair last year and now 2 this year, and thinking championship and a move to IndyCar is the hope and the plan for 2025.
And after last year, Louis Foster showed incredible pace here on the streets of Detroit. The results didn't show it. Today, he had the pace, and he's getting the result.
All right, it's yours, DJ, whenever you want it. Louis Foster is going to climb out a winner again in Indy NXT.
It's 2 on the trot for Louis Foster as he gets himself out of the car here. You can see just how exhausted he is around this ridiculously challenging race circuit. Here he comes. Big cheers from the team. A big, big happy celebration for Louis Foster. There's some hugs there being taken by the team. Congratulations all the way around for this young Briton. More high fives, more hugs for Louis. Here he is. One more here for him. And Louis, you had to fight for that one quite a bit. Kyle Collette really keeping you honest throughout that entire race.
Yeah, at the start I was just managing the gap. And then kind of midway through, I pulled quite a big gap on him, thinking he'd killed his tyres. But to be fair to him, he came back at me quite hard in the later stages of the race. So it was getting close, but I think we had enough push to pass to keep him off. And then unfortunately it finished under yellow, which we don't like to see. But yeah, you know, happy with the result. Obviously, massive thank you to Andretti, and we'll hopefully build this onto Road America.
Well, in terms of building it onto Road America, how well does this position you for the championship, building momentum into the packed part of the schedule?
Yeah, I think obviously, I think we're second in points now. Maybe I got told on radio. Unfortunate for Nolan, I think didn't start the race, so that's a shame. But yeah, I mean, it's good for us. You know, Abel didn't have a great race either, so. You know, we're just continuing our pace throughout the season. Hopefully we can just keep getting decent luck and not any more bad luck, and I'll be happy.
Well, keep it on that good luck, and hopefully carries on to Road America.
Cheers.
Impressive day for Louis Foster today, who is very much able to start thinking championship again as he moves up a spot.
Yeah, that win today moves him up. Nolan Siegel's rough day with that mechanical before the green flag slides him back a position. Those two rookies, Kyle Klepp, Miles Rowe, Callum Hedge, Michael DiOrlando, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all rookies.
Firehawk is ready. So the Indy NXT race is in the books, and the main event is coming up. IndyCar and the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix in a few minutes on USA and Peacock. We'll see you next weekend. Road America for a Sunday race for Indy NXT as well. For DJ Clark and Charlie Kimball, I'm Kevin Lee. Congratulations. Louis Foster wins in Motown.